Hello and welcome to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, oxygenaddict.com Triathlon Coaching. We are Bike House, who are a local bike shop near Manchester. And this week, we're precisionhydration.com, the latest British electrolyte replacement drink company. And, you know, I'm stumbling my words because I'm so excited. Because Helen's away and she's in Rio, and I'm like, oh, I'm left on my own. But who stepped in? But Bek Keat.
I'll try and live up to her, but I don't know if I'm going to.
You're going to try and fill Helen's shoes today, Bek. Thank
Big
you
shoes
so
to
much for
fill.
coming on and taking the time, mate. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm really excited.
No, I'm
As you
excited
can
too.
tell. So how's life over in Boulder at the moment? It must be pretty rosy this time of year, eh?
Oh, it's lovely. It's just sort of the end of summer, so it's cooling off a little bit now. We had a really hot summer, but went for a ride this morning, and I honestly don't think it's rained for. I can't even think of the last time it rained here, so we're very blessed.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I shouldn't say
man.
that to a pommy because you
Yeah.
guys. Oh man, the weather there's so up and down, but.
Breaking my heart. Oh, well, listen, we've just been away with the family. We've been away in the camper van to the south coast, and for 9 days we had literally not a cloud in the sky. And my friends back home were saying it's raining, and we're like, this is awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, Siri and I, our dream is to do a camper van trip around all of Australia.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if she's ever. I feel like she's going to be coaching till she's 100, so I don't know when that's going to happen.
You're going to need some serious air conditioning to live in a
Yeah,
van in the Northern Territories, right?
that is true. Yes, it does get hot there.
You should come over and do a camper van trip around the UK, Bek. That'd be awesome.
Love to. We actually we're good friends with Annie Emerson and Michelle Dillon. So and our coach, assistant coach Charlotte Saunders lives there too, and she coaches for Team Sirius. So she's dying for us to come over, and we'd love to go over there and come and say hi on the show and do a little trip
Make
around
it
the UK.
happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Team Serious training camp happening in the UK.
It
You've
will
got to make
happen one
it
day,
now.
for sure. For sure.
That'd be
Maybe we
brilliant
can
with
do a
family
Coach
party.
Rob and Coach Siri joint camp.
Oh yeah, right. I
That'd be
am
cool.
not worthy.
Yes, you are. I've seen how many guys you've got under your little squad there. It's pretty decent.
Oh, do you know? I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. That would be Sirius, my idol. Seriously.
She's my idol too. I'm just lucky she's my wife.
Yeah, how cool's that?
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, so listen, I want to get basically a little bit of an update from you first before we go on and talk about the races and things that have been going on around the world, because we had you on, I looked back and it was mid-April we had you on, and it was an awesome interview that Helen did with you, and I was super jealous that I didn't get in on the Skype call at the time, so this is my chance to get a chat with you here. So let's get an update on you since then. The big race for you was going to be the Asia Pacific Championships, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's not talk about me too much, hey? But
Oh,
no,
come on,
no.
you're the rock star on the show. You got to tell us. I know it didn't quite go to plan,
No,
did it?
I mean I came off such a good race last year, winning the Challenge Shepherd and beating a few decent athletes, and then I sort of decided that I'll have one more crack, or at least hopefully another. I wanted to go to Kona a couple more times, but I thought I'd try one more time this year and push for the qualification, which even that is difficult these days, as you know. And all I really had to do was probably be top 2 or 3 in Ironman Cairns and Asia Pacific Championships, the championship race. And then I probably would have qualified. But I was off the bike with Lindsay Corbin and a long way behind Jodie Swallow. Bloody British, you British girls are just too strong. But she was in another postcode. But there was definitely a challenge for sort of second, third, and I tore my calf like three kilometers into the run. And I felt to go, and I thought I have ran with it before like that. So I kept running, and then by 28K it went really bad. I could feel it pull all the way down, and ended up having a grade 1 strain of my gastrocs, grade 2 of my soleus, and I finished because there was no way I was going to not finish the race. I just hate the feeling, when you've pulled out. I just don't like taking that soft option. Siri has always said, anyone who pulls out for any other reason than their legs fallen off, they're out of the squad. So she's my wife, so I have to keep going, and so I finished, but I finished 5th and was really disappointed. I was happy in the end that I finished, but wasn't where I wanted to be, and so I just decided that the poor old body at 38 now with all these calf strains, it's starting to tell me that maybe it's time to to wind it down a little bit.
So is that your kind of, is that the Kona dream over? There's no
I
chance
feel
of
like,
qualifying and
unfortunately, physically,
oh man, that's
yeah,
so sad.
maybe you've sort of got to, be realistic. And as much as my dream was always to go back again, I think you look at people like Natasha Badman and that's still going and still wants to have that. I mean, I don't even know what motivates them, but and Didi Gracebell, who's been racing for so many years, and they just keep trying and trying every year. Like maybe they're going to have that perfect day at Kona. And I don't really want to be one of those 45-year-old women running around still trying to have that ideal race, because I feel like I've had a fifth and a sixth there, and maybe that's all I'm ever going to get. And I feel like I've got something more. Tsuru always says, whatever you do, you're going to be amazing. And I said, oh, but this has been 22 years of my life, so I'm not ready to retire yet, but and I definitely want to have another couple of races, but I think Kona's not looking like it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to get to ever again.
Oh man, it's a real shame to hear
It's a
that, but
shame.
I think one of the most incredible things about this sport is that, I mean, you just said yourself, you're 38. I was watching the Olympics earlier, and the gymnasts are talking about retiring at 20.
Yeah.
There's a 22-year-old gymnast on one of the teams. They were calling her grandma, and
Oh,
you're
that's
thinking
awful. And she
it's
looks about
insane.
10, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's about 3.5 feet tall and weighs
Yeah.
60 pounds, dripping wet. But our sport, you get to keep on going,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just, I think the difficulty is when you're trying to perform, like you guys are just pushing the limits all the time, aren't you? And it's,
Yep.
as you said, it's so hard to qualify, especially as a lady for Kona.
Mm-hmm.
You've just got to push the limits all the time. I really feel for you.
No, that I've had a great run, and I think after sort of doing so many Ironmans back to back with Brett Sutton back in, I think it was 2012, I won 3 in a row, and it was too much. And my body, I tore my calf the first time there, and just I wish if there was an operation that they could go in and fix scar tissue in your gastrocs or soleus, I would do it, because I feel like that's just been my Achilles heel, and
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried every treatment for the last 3 years, and it's cost me a fortune to try and just stay on top of my game. And that's unfortunately having big fat calves like I do. They're not as strong as they look. I tell you, everyone says, look at them. I said, yeah, they might be all show, because they don't do a lot of good for me.
Oh, bless you. I tell you, I'm sitting here with a knot of something on my Achilles tendon, and
Oh,
people who don't have this, I want people to kind of hear this and go, right, do you know what? I'm going to go out for a run today, because on the days you can run, you feel magic, and on the days when it hurts, you're just like, oh man.
yep, exactly.
It's just hard to explain to people, isn't it? Quite how painful it is.
Yeah, I think definitely when I torn it in the race, and I've done it before. It's I was talking to, who was it, Jodie Stimpson, who's actually just quietly, but I think it's known, is now training with Siri at the moment, and going to see, feel it out a little bit and see how she goes for a couple of weeks. But she was saying
Is that
she,
right?
yeah, it's a little secret girl, but I'm allowed to say
Yeah.
it. So and we love
Breaking
Jodie.
news.
We love Brits. See, I'm starting to talk with a British accent now, and I do
Love
that when I'm
it.
around her. And she says, "Are you talking
Now
with a
listen, I have
British
to warn
accent?"
you. If you start doing an accent, I want to start doing my
Oh
Australian one,
God!
and
Oh,
then
let's
we're
swap
really
then.
in trouble. No, I've got the worst accent in the world. I'll come out
Mine's
like a
pretty bad. But
Welsh stroke
she was
Pakistani.
reminding me how she ripped her foot in open in a World Cup, and it was split. She needed like
Yeah,
stitches, and she said, I didn't even feel it in the race. And I thought, how could you not freaking feel it? Like, how did you
yeah.
not feel it? But she said, I didn't. But I think you can tell the way she trains. She doesn't feel pain, but she just obviously overcame it, and she ran on it and did really well. But I've heard of stories where people break their toes and keep running, break their collarbones, and
It's
it's
crazy,
just that
isn't it?
mentality you have to be a champion, I guess.
And she's super, super tough, and we were so gutted that she missed out on
Oh,
the Olympics.
we are,
It's
even as an Aussie, I was gutted for her. I think that was one of the. I mean, Helen Jenkins had such an amazing race on the perfect day, and that when she
yeah.
needed to. But I feel like Jodie had the runs on the board, and yeah,
Do you almost wish, don't you, that they had a wild card that they could give to people like this, where you go, look, Britain have got 4 genuine medal
yes,
contenders here.
that's what I
Let them
said to
all go.
Siri. I said they talk about the Olympics being, the best of. Every athlete from every country, but then there's athletes that are ranked top 10, like Jodie, who was world number 1 not long ago,
Yeah.
and she doesn't even have a start. And there's also Aussie athletes too that missed out that I feel like should have gotten a spot, but you only get a certain number of spots per country.
Yeah.
So
It's difficult, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's hard. We'll be watching that, though.
Shame.
We can't wait to watch that series. Actually, she never does this, but she wants to watch it too. So she's changed our session tomorrow for the men's, and we're swimming first really early, and then early for us is 6 o'clock. For us pros, and then we're going to get back and watch the men's. So
yeah, because that'll be really early in the morning for you, won't it, over there?
Yeah, I think it's be 8 o'clock when they start. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 over here. So cool stuff. Exciting times, hey?
Yep.
Well, do you know, I was going to come back to the Olympics later on, but we're here now, so let's talk about it.
Okay.
Come on. Let's, men's races tomorrow. And I really don't know what's going to happen. I was sitting here earlier reading the reviews of who's racing and thinking, 2012, it was, maybe it's because you're British, you're sitting here thinking, well, one of the Brownlees is going to, there's something spectacularly bad has got to happen for to not get a medal each. This year, they've been out so long with injury and then they've come back and they're racing really well. Yeah. But we just don't genuinely know what's going to happen. There are so many strong people in the race. Who do you fancy?
You know what? I feel like I don't even know Johnny Brownlee, but he's always second to his brother. I was like, please, if Johnny could just beat Alistair, I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I'm a twin, and they're not twins, but they're very close. But my twin used to beat me all the time as a kid. I was always second. And then that first time that I beat her, it was just that feeling. I was like, it wasn't actually the same feeling that I thought it would be, but I was just like, finally, I've gotten over that, where I've finally knocked her off. And I really think it'd be great to see him beat Alistair for once. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, well, it seems like he can put their amazing performances together in races where Alistair isn't there, and he's beaten pretty much everyone there is to beat apart from Alistair in a big race, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I've heard that Jodie said to me the other day that Johnny before I think what was the last race they raced together and Alistair won again.
Was it the Leeds one?
Or must have been
the Leeds?
And Johnny was second,
did.
wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
So apparently Johnny had been whipping Alistair. I don't know if this is facts, but he'd been beating him in training all the time, which I think is quite regular. And they were all like, "This is the first time he's going to beat Alistair," and then Alistair got him again.
Yeah,
so, just knows how to race.
He does, and I wonder whether it's that sibling thing, whether he's just mentally.
I think it is.
Whether there's that power structure set up so that he perhaps can't. I mean, there was a funny program on the TV over here called Superstars where they had like the Brownlees run it and they had them doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
One of the races was an 800 meters, and they were meant to not kind of go mental, but they did. They went flat out head to head over 800 meters.
Wow.
And again, Alistair just took him in the home straight. So even then, he can't let his brother beat him.
Yeah, he can't. He just can't. He just seems to have that mental edge. But I would like to see the sort of the underdog come over the top of this time.
Yeah, do you know that there's a little part of me agrees with you, is rooting for the underdog to come through and beat his older brother.
And I think they're going to have a lot of trouble beating. You've got Moller and I think Richard Murray too.
Yeah, well, it could go any way, couldn't it? Yeah. And I think one of the big deciding factors is actually going to be if they make it around this bike course.
I heard it's going to be raining.
Oh, really?
Perhaps.
Is that the forecast?
There's a chance of rain. So I was talking to Flora about the descent. She said it's so steep that you're sitting back off your seat. Well, you should be, because Flora knows how to ride a bike. And you're sitting back off your seat and you come down the hill so steep, but then it's a quick left-hand turn. So if there's going to be rain, that's going to be pretty hectic.
I don't know if you saw any of the road race.
I did.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Just beastly. And if the roads are like that and the road furniture's like that, and I mean, we had Chris Boardman over here on the commentary saying, like, I am angry at the organisers for making this race so dangerous because they just haven't done the stuff that needs to be done to make narrow roads like that safe enough to race on. So it's like they had the test event and there were no crashes then. But like you said, if it's wet, that could really become a lottery, couldn't it? And
they've got to get through that dirty water in the swim too. God knows what they're going to catch from that. I shouldn't bag it because, I mean, they've done the best they can in the situation. But I was talking to a guy who helped with the Olympic bid, Rafa Goncalves, who trains with us, and he said that the water's just, it's not ideal. He said he wouldn't want to swim in it, and he's a swimmer. So
is it? Yeah, it's not good at all.
Yeah.
No. All right, call it then. Come on, call the top three.
Oh man,
go to Bek Keat.
Is this who I think will win or who I want to win?
Well, we know you want Johnny
Yeah.
Brownlee to win.
Yeah.
And I think I do too, actually.
Oh, good.
So we'll go with that. We'll go with the cup of try vote is going to be we want Johnny to win.
Yeah, he'll
God,
love
this
that.
will be awful if we ever manage to get Alistair
Oh my
on.
God. And I love Alistair too. Actually, Siri and Alistair are good mates. They get along really well. So she's going to kill me. But we always want, like, I just know what it's like to be an underdog. So you always want them to come through. But okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, but I think the real winner probably, I think it'll be Alistair and then Mola and then Johnny or Richard Murray. I'm Aussie. I should put an Aussie in there, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to cut it.
I'm going to go with Alistair, then Jonathan, then Mola.
Okay.
That's my gut. Unless something crazy happens on the bike, and then it could be anyone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's just pray it doesn't. Let's
I hope it doesn't rain.
Athletes win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would just be. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But you imagine they're going to have nice weather over in Brazil because it's Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, I know. Well, the women's apparently there's a high chance it's going to rain. But I mean, that's Saturday, so they can't look that far ahead. But I heard that there's a really big chance it's going to rain for the women.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah.
All right, come on then. Women's race.
Oh,
Women's race.
I would love, and I think she's very capable because she's a local Boulder girl. I'd love to see Flora win. I think she deserves it too. Yeah, Flora Duffy. I think we were talking and she just put it all out there and said, I've got to have a minute 20 lead. And I thought, oof, I don't even know if that's enough with Gwen, but apparently if it's raining, it'll completely change it, obviously. But I think with the skills, apparently, I was told by some of the girls that are in the know that Gwen's skills might not be as great in the rain, and people like Emma Moffat also might have trouble. She doesn't like racing in the rain because she's had a lot of crashes in that, and people like Andrea Hewitt and who has amazing bike skills, and Flora. I believe they're the two best riders in the race. So I'd like to see Flora win with maybe Andrea second. I'd love to see Emma Moffat be up there as well. But I think I'm going to go for Flora, Andrea Hewitt, and then Emma Moffat.
Nice.
Yep. What about you?
And I think you're right. I think that it's easy to sit back and go, well, Gwen's going to win it. She's dominated everything, and she's on like a 13 race winning streak or something, isn't she, at the moment?
Yeah.
But this course is so technical, even if it's dry.
That's the only reason I'm ruling Gwen out. And even Siri kind of agreed with me on that. She said, I'd love to see Gwen win. I said, well, we all would do. She deserves it. But I think if the course was totally different, I would definitely have her as a winner. But yeah, it's a kind of Simon Lessing in Sydney situation, isn't it? Where everyone assumed he was going to walk it, and actually on the day, just something completely different happens. I think that the bike course is so technical that the really strong bikers are going to just deal it to the rest of the pack, and that it's just going to be deadly. It's going to be a proper full-on, no holes barred round the corners at full speed descents, and people are going to get away, and other people are going to put themselves over the limit, try to stay with them, and it'll be last girl standing. Yep. And one person I didn't mention who I think is also extremely good on the bike and who won the gold is Nicola Spearing. I just don't know if her swim is going to be enough to get her to the front. But we'll see.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those ones as well where it's going to be hard to ride through the pack on that course as well, isn't it? It's not like you're going to bridge up and it's all easy going. Yeah. Well, you see, you've got the insider knowledge on who the best female bike handlers are.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you've got the best knowledge here, right? But my gut says I really want to see Helen Jenkins get a medal. Yep. I think that she showed such guts at 2012 after being injured and got herself within a kilometre of the finish line, didn't she, after running on one leg the whole way?
Yeah.
I just think it was super, super awesome.
Yeah.
And especially after her husband, Mark, crashed. Do you remember this, Mark?
He did.
He got his wheel caught around somebody's quick release in the pack or something, didn't he? And he ran with his bike on his back for 3K and finished in last place. I think it was Athens. And I just think the family is owed some kind of Olympic karma.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
So I'm rooting for Helen, and I think you're probably right. I think we'll go with your Flora Duffy, and you say Flora. I'm going to say Andrea Hewitt.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to say Andrea Hewitt. We'll go with that.
And I think she deserves to win after that awful tragedy, losing her partner. I think she's not that she has anything to prove, but I think she'll want to do that for him too.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's
Same with when Loretta Harrop lost her brother. She won the silver in 2004, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Athens. And she'd lost Luke in 2002 or 3 in a training accident, which I was involved in. And after losing him, we thought that would be it. But then she went and won the silver. So I feel like Andrea could do the same thing.
Yeah, it's the kind of event where the emotion and the heart can really carry you through, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. Yep.
Wow. Well, there you go. Andrea Hewitt it is then.
She's going to love this. I'm going to be in trouble. All the Aussies are going to be like, what are you doing going for what? I won't say what they call them, but we love Kiwis. If it's not Aussie winning, want a Kiwi to win. But what are you doing going for the Kiwis? There's no Aussies.
No one's got anything against someone from Bermuda, so you can go with Flora Duffy.
Okay, good. Exactly.
Oh man, right. Listen, we should talk some results. It's been. I'll fill you in here. Usually, I've got a couple of weeks worth of results to catch up on because I was away last week. I pre-recorded last week's show.
Okay.
So there were no results in there. So we've got a few things to catch up on. So let's start with some stuff from this weekend just gone, and then we'll go back and cover things from the weekend before. So shall we kick it off with the... Now, I'm going to rely on you here. Helen is my foreign pronunciation.
Oh, don't ask me. We give her a nickname because we don't know how to say it. I think I know who you're talking about.
Well, we're going to go with, is it Weisbaden? Is that how we pronounce it with a V?
Yes.
Wiesbaden,
yes.
70.3.
Yeah.
And it's Andreas Drietz and Melissa Hauschild of Australia.
You got that right.
I get it right?
Hauschild. I don't really know, but I feel like that sounds right. Melissa H.
Melissa, if you're listening, we're really sorry if we're butchering your surname here, but congratulations on the win.
she's doing great. Like, it's going to be her first Kona, and she's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, she's had an amazing season, hasn't she, leading up to this as well?
She's had an amazing career. I mean, she was a silver medalist at the steeplechase in the Com Games, and then she's...
I didn't know that.
Yes, 2006 Com Games, she was a silver medalist. She actually almost won it, and it was a really close finish. But if you look at her, like, no runner, she's a runner. I was looking at her stats. She was a 2:05 800-meter runner, a 4:09 1500. Her fastest 5K was 15:55. And you know what? I don't think Nicola Spirig can even run that. I'm pretty sure that's quicker than the fastest ITU runner.
That is absolutely flying, isn't it?
It's flying. So I think the only person that could match that is Rinny over the marathon. So she's definitely going to be one to watch in Kona this year.
And steeplechasers have got that. There's something about the I don't know what you describe it as, the durability of that pounding that they take from all the hurdle training and stuff. Yeah. Well, I used to be a steeplechaser.
Oh, really?
Well, I ended up in the steeplechase because I wasn't quick enough for any of the other track races.
That's what they say about triathletes, isn't it? Not good enough at one sport, so we do all three.
I ended up in triathlon because I wasn't good enough to make it as a steeplechaser.
Oh, come on, that's not true. You Brits, you got some good steeplechasers, you guys.
Yeah, we have actually over the years, and there's quite a few have made the jump over to triathlon.
That young guy that just won London, wasn't he a steeplechase, Adam?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So maybe there's maybe you and Siri should be looking through the steeplechase results.
Start recruiting.
Yeah, start recruiting early. All right, so listen, women's results then. Melissa takes out in 4:27 from Jodie Swallow in 4:33. And Laura Philipp of Germany in 4:34. Now, we always have a little bit of a British slant on the show when we can. So Emma Pallant snuck in there in 6th, which is a great result for her amongst it was a stacked field, that wasn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought she would have maybe gone even a little better, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure it's quite a technical bike course, and I think that's maybe where Jodie lost a bit of time on the bike. That's what I'm thinking. Melissa's bike handling, she's just fearless.
Really?
And I've seen her come past me on descents, and I don't consider myself that bad, but I think she's quite a bit better, I think, than Jodie on the. No offense, Jodes, because she's an amazing rider, but I think her bike handling is probably it's not that she's a better rider than Jodie. I feel like it would more be the skills on the descents.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
your technical one there. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. But the Brits did well. Great. The Brits did well there.
Good knowledge. You're coming back on Bek, I'm telling you now.
Oh, God, Helen's going to kill me.
This is going to be a monthly appearance for you from now on.
I'm just making all this up.
I don't care. I love it.
I don't know
You've got the
anything.
authority to do that. You could tell me that
Uh.
she trains purely eating cupcakes, and I believe you.
Well, Jodie definitely doesn't. She watches what she eats, and I think Mel does too. So yeah, no, I can't say
I
that.
bet they all do. I bet there's not a cupcake between them with the race lead up like this one.
Yeah, only Callum Mill will eat cupcakes from Cal. So he's the only one. Yeah.
He's the guy, right? So Andreas Streitz takes it out in 3:59, edging out Lionel Sanders and Boris Stein for second and third. And Will Clark. I had an email off Will actually that was saying Will finished down in ninth, and he just said, "I was cooked after the bike. They were just maniacs, all of them. It was just
Really
nose down on the stem, and they were just drilling it the whole way. It was super fast, like an ITU race."
Will's done a lot of racing though. Is he qualified for Kona now? Because that was his goal.
No, he's not in yet. He's going to Copenhagen to do the full Ironman this weekend. God. So this was like a warm up for him for. So yeah, he's another one who's he's racing himself.
Oh, because he had an amazing run in Frankfurt, wasn't it? Where he ran.
Yeah.
Was it a 2:42 or something? It was crazy.
I think it was. Yeah, it was.
Fast.
It was 42:41. It was super fast and ran himself into fifth, I think, from memory.
And then I actually wrote to him. I said, mate, if I had a run like you, I'd be trying to qualify too. But that's the thing with these qualifications now, trying to get the points. These poor guys and girls, they're just so burnt out before they get there.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Well, what's your take on this? Was it better the old school way when there were slots and you won it or you didn't, and it was just easier like that? You thought?
I personally think that the old way they did it, where if there's a decent field, they'd have one or two slots, and if you won, you were in. And I just feel like Ironman's so tough. It takes 2 months for any normal person to recover, unless you're Daniela Reef. And I feel like that they're just so over raced. Most of the girls, if you don't get top 10 in Kona and you don't get any points for the next year, they don't roll over, then you're in trouble. You need to do at least 2 Ironmans, if not 3, and that's so many to do in 1 year. Especially if you've been in the sport for a little while. And I prefer the old method, but who knows what this Wonder Group are going to do? They might try and change the way it's being done. Who knows? I said to Siri, I can see the World Championships going to China.
Oh yeah, I can see something like that for sure, because they're already doing things like giving 50 slots in a Chinese 70.3 race, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which it used to happen a lot in America in the old days. There was a lot of 70.3 slots for Kona then, but you do really wonder whether. I mean, I don't know whether it's been successful, if I'm honest. This idea that, obviously you'd get the pros racing more often, but what happens is you don't actually get people racing, do you? Because they get on the marathon and think, oh, well, I'm out of it. I've got to conserve myself for next week when I've got to go to Copenhagen or Sweden or somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the problem. Like, the injuries as well. Like, so many of the top girls this year and last year, you look at them, other than sort of the Marinda and the Daniela, and I think Caroline's been pretty steady, and Jodie, and Rachel's pregnant, but most of the girls, there's got to be at least 10 of the top 20 that have had injuries that have kept them from being able to do that, and that's what makes it really hard.
And it must make it super hard to compete with the 10 who did qualify from Kona the year before, because pretty much all they've got to do is validate and they're in, right?
Yeah, and I think even the validation's like a little crazy, because they say they have to do it in a competitive nature. But you saw what Pete Jacobs and Rinny didn't deliberately. Everyone thinks she was walking deliberately, eating potato chips. She was so stuffed that she had to get through it like that. She didn't. Yeah. She wasn't making a mockery. That's just Rinny just couldn't go any harder that day to get her validation. So, and I think the same was with Pete. So.
Do you know, I coached a guy who raced in Switzerland the year that Pete had that race in Switzerland.
Okay.
And he rode with Pete for most of the bike. The back half of the bike anyway, caught up with him and then ran with him. And he was like, dude, the guy was hurting.
Yeah.
He was in real pain and he was pushing as hard as he can go. And he was getting like all this abuse afterwards for basically having brought the sport into disrepute or whatever. And you think, nobody has an easy time of finishing an Ironman, even Pete Jacobs.
Exactly.
Even to finish the damn thing.
It's going to hurt no matter what. It's still out there for however many hours. And that's the thing. I don't know how they're going to, what they can do. I'm not... I'm probably not informed enough to give details on that, but I'm hoping it changes and they have some. I know it's only going to be 4 races now, not 5, and that's just recently they've done that. But they
Yeah.
still include 3 Ironman, so there's still going to be girls that can race. Like, your Hillary Biscays can race every weekend in an Ironman and recover, but most of us just have a lot of trouble doing that, backing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think honestly, like, all the amount of racing that you did in the sort of 2012 type periods where you did a lot of Ironmans pretty much back to back, do you feel now in hindsight, looking back, that was detrimental to the longevity of your career?
I think it was, but I don't regret it. I probably wouldn't change it, because just winning those races, and I think I won Copenhagen and then Louisville, and I think I'd got second or third at Roth in that within 6 weeks. And at the time I wouldn't have changed it, because at the time I was just so happy, but I didn't really realize what it was doing to my body. So I kind of came to Siri Broken and said, I want to be world champion still. And I was like, oh, you got to get over these injuries first.
Yeah.
And I was young still. I was only 20. I did my first one at 24. I think I was only 28. It's just, you really have to just be so careful in the first few years of racing and not overdo it like I did. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, you think maybe where when you're in that purple patch of fitness, you can race and race and race, but then maybe it shows up later on and you don't quite realize the effect it's had at the time. Yeah.
22 years. I've been pretty lucky, but and I definitely don't regret doing it the way I did it, because I had some great wins and I made a good living out of it. But I've been doing it since I was 16, so my body had been pretty flogged before that.
Yeah. How many Ironmans have you done?
You know what? I don't even know. It's got to be over 30, but I'm not. I need to go back and count, because it's got to be up to probably close to 25 or 30 by now.
You got to find out.
I need to find out. Yeah.
You should be wearing like a badge of honor. You should get like a little sticker on your swimming trunks for every time you do one.
I know. I had to look it up, so I didn't even know. But I've had 5 sub-9s, because I was talking about Siri, who one of our athletes, Yvonne van Klerken Von Thie, the Flying Dutch woman. She's arriving here next week. Actually, we're really excited to have her, and she's done 10 sub-9s, so I can't even compare with that. And she's still never injured. She's still going good.
She's awesome. I love her. She is such a great athlete.
That want to bring you up to that next race results. She won on the weekend.
She did,
Finland.
yeah. Let's go to that. Do you know what? Just before that, though, I just want to mention Lionel Sanders in this race. Did you see what he ran?
1:09.
There you go. You're on it.
1:09.
Stato 1:09.
Insane.
He still didn't quite get the win, but that's fast running for a flat out half marathon at like decent club level, isn't it?
And that course was legit, right? That's because the girls were pretty. Yeah. I saw that, and I think he got beaten just recently for the first time in a long time. He'd had a stellar run of wins, and it's funny, you always think, oh, come on, I want to see someone beat him. And not that, he's doing amazing, but we were like, oh, he finally got beaten. He's beatable. And then I saw, I wondered how he got beaten on the weekend, and I don't know if it was, again, maybe the skills, the bike handling or something. I'm not sure, because I figure he'd be very good at that. But when he ran a 1:09 and still when he got second, the guy who won must have just had his day, because he's only 28 and he's only won, he won Mallorca and Fuerteventura or something, but hasn't had a lot of results to his name.
Yeah. Well, like you said, if it's a technical bike course with a lot of descents on, I know that Lionel does almost all of his biking on a trainer. We had him on the show, and
right.
Well, yeah, he got hit by a car. I think he got hit by a car twice, actually. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I'd have to check. But he definitely got hit by a car, and he was like, dude, it's safer for me where I live.
Wow, you're probably right then. It's probably
So maybe it's a bike, because any of those courses like the Texas, when it's a time trialing type course, he's deadly, isn't he? He's got this tiny little physique and just disappears into an aerodynamic nothingness.
Yeah. But Andy had a great day. I remember him getting second to Andreas Rehlert in Challenge Bahrain, I think it was last year. And I was like, wow, who's this guy? I've never heard of him. And then now he's really made a name for himself, winning that.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be good to see those guys go head to head at the World Champs in Australia.
Yeah, that'll be great. Oh, they're racing. Okay, I didn't know if they were racing. Right.
I know for sure Sanders is, because he said that's his target for the year.
That's his course too, because it's not technical. It's pretty much out and back, one little climb, and then straight out and back on a dead flat fast highway.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's made for him, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, cool stuff. Right, listen, you just mentioned the wonderful Yvonne van Vleuten. Let's go to her win next.
Yeah. Challenge Finland.
Challenge Finland.
Yes.
I've not got the results for that up on my computer here with
okay, let's see. I've
preparation. Go on.
So it was her, and I don't know how to say his name. Jaroslav Kurak.
That's close enough.
sorry, mate. Us Aussies can't pronounce in the best of times, so he won the men's.
Cool stuff. And it's a challenge race, that one, huh?
Yeah, challenge, and it was Yvonne's. God, it's got to be like her 20th race this year. She is a racer, and I think I sent you something. I sent her a few quick questions across to let me know how her season had been going, how she's feeling going to Kona, and I think she's probably been a little bit of a dark horse there, and people forget she had a second there and a fourth there and a seventh there. So, and she's with Siri now, and she's going to be here training with Rinny for 5 weeks. So. Bonzi is I would put some money on her to be on the podium this year in Kona, the way she's going.
Yeah, well, she is. She would have won, wouldn't she, the year when...
she said that to me.
Didn't she?
I'm
trying desperately to find the email you forwarded to me, and I can't find the damn thing.
Yeah.
She said, I'd have won Kona that year if you hadn't given Chrissy that.
I actually didn't even realise that. And then, I mean, Chrissy and I are such great mates, and I don't regret doing that because I love the girl. And but then to think Bonzi and I are pretty much best friends, and I thought, God, I didn't even think of that. If I hadn't have given Chrissy, she would have been probably we worked out at least 14 to 40 minutes behind because the mechanics were so far back that Yvonne would have won it. Yeah, 2009 was that? I think it was 2009. So, yeah. Sorry, Bonzi.
Hey, listen. Sorry, Yvonne. Yeah.
But
oh, man, have you got that email there?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Come on, let's go through those questions.
Okay, so I said to her, Yvonne, the Flying Dutch Woman. We call her Yvonne, but it's actually Yvonne van Vlerken, and her real name in over there is the Flying Dutch Woman.
Love it. Could be a better name for her, could it?
You know. And so she said, I've been training with Siri since the beginning of 2012. Time has flown by. It's her 5th year with this amazing lady. So I'm glad she's talking about my wife like that. But they really have a great relationship, her and Siri. And then she says, to be honest, I was totally not myself when I started with Siri. She was my last hope. I would have quit the sport. I wasn't performing at the level I had been since 2000. Her English isn't 100%. I'll try and translate this. I lost my joy and passion. I will be forever grateful for Siri. She gave it back to me. I've been training with her. Close contact and professional way of working lets me come back to the real me, a passionate triathlete full of joy and gratitude. I'm swimming better than I ever have in the last 17 years in the sport and still improving. I think she means improving. My weakest discipline. She's going to hate me for that. No, her English is perfect, but her typing isn't quite as good as it could be. But I've translated that properly, I think. So.
I'll tell you what, man, I reckon that her written English is better than my written Dutch.
Definitely. Yeah, mine too. Do you want me to answer? Do you want me to go to the next question?
Hey, I've found it. I've got it here. I'll tell you what, I'll read the question out, and then you can be Yvonne, and if you could do Yvonne's accent as well.
Oh my God, I don't know how to do it. I'll try.
All right. So the next question you asked it seems you absolutely love racing and racing a lot. How do you continue to back up successfully race after race, even on back-to-back weekends, and how do you stay motivated?
Yeah, I think it's just the love of the sport, and of course, I'm just a very clever girl. That sounds Japanese.
I love it.
Oh, that's bad. She's going to hate me. No.
That sounds pretty good.
Very clever girl. When I can win with a small margin, I will always do that. Why spend energy on smashing every race when you can do way more races by playing it clever? That's a good thing to take away from this. Yeah. My goal has always been to stay healthy, injury-free, and enjoying this amazing life as long as I can. Till now, I'm doing a pretty good job. I know a lot of the other pro triathletes that are on this level for as long as I have, and with that not being injured, without being injured, I hope I will keep this fun ride a lot longer. Motivation comes from so many things. Making myself, my partner, and Siri proud is one of them. And that's so true. You know, the first thing she does when she wins a race is, instead of Siri sending her something, she sends Siri a bunch of flowers to say thank you. And I just think she has so much gratitude.
Oh,
she's a great girl. And there's not a lot of athletes that show so much gratitude. I think her and Mirinda would be the two that would show so much gratitude towards Siri. And Siri, that's all she wants. That's all it's about. So, and then she goes to say, motivation comes from so many things, making myself, my partner, Siri proud, just having fun and traveling around the world, training for another fun race coming up. It's just an amazing life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that gratitude thing really comes across from both her and Siri, doesn't it? It's such a great guiding principle, and I'd love listening to them talking. Right, question
Yeah.
3. You missed Kona last year and are back again this year for the 6th time. Many of us know you're capable of winning the race. What do you think it will take for Vonzi to win the 2016 Hawaii Ironman World Championships?
And she says, I qualified very early last year, was even given the top 10 in the ranking, but decided against Kona as I wasn't hungry. I couldn't vote it myself. I just didn't want to go. It was a great decision to skip a year as I'm very motivated and focused now. I've raced Kona 6 times. My first Kona in 2008 gave me a 2nd place. Thanks to you yourself who gave Chrissy Wellington her CO2 and I didn't win. Laugh out loud. I am so sorry. I don't regret giving it to Chrissy Vonzi, but if I was there now doing it, I promise I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't give it to her because I would want you to take the win. Being a fellow Team Serious athlete and all. The next year, 2009, my bike was tampered with and I had a DNF. Now, I have to ask her about that because I don't know about that one. Eyewitnesses had seen a person in T1 damaging my gears while I was swimming. Since then, we now have our own transition for the pros. 2000. Do you want to? Yeah. Do you want to touch on that?
Weird?
And I do kind of remember.
I've never heard that before.
It's a little. I might have to ask her about that, and I'll let you know. But I don't know if they got that on camera or someone saw them doing it. But that's just terrible. That's just even unheard
awful,
of.
Isn't it?
Awful. 2010 she was 7th. 2011 a DNF. 2013 she was 4th. And no, 13 was a 4th and 2014 a DNF. So looking at the past, I'm good for a great result this year. Winning is a big thing, to be very honest. I would already jump for joy with the top 3. I will need a very good swim. Hopefully I get some good feet, a strong bike then, and I know I have that in me. By this time I would be within the top 10 off the bike, the run, a solid 3-hour marathon, just a solid 3-hour marathon.
As you do.
Yeah, which I know I can when I don't get any problems.
Awesome.
Yep.
Right, so both you and Per are qualified for Kona. Per, I presume, is her boyfriend / partner.
Hopefully fiance soon, I'm just saying.
Oh, pressure's on, Per. It must be so exciting to know your honey will be there with you on race day, racing alongside you.
Yep, and she says, Per and I raced in Kona 2013. It was his first race there, and he's eager to improve on his results from then. To be honest, he is a whole different and way stronger athlete now. I love racing together. It's so much more fun. I race better as well when I know he's suffering as well. It motivates me to get to the finish line as soon as possible, as he's waiting for me and he's tired and done as well. That's awesome.
That's great. And the last question, huge congrats on your amazing win at Challenge Finland. That must give you confidence leading into Kona.
Well, I still have a lot of work to do, but yes, I was very happy with this win. I got 2nd the week before, which I wasn't happy with. So she did back-to-back half Ironmans, which isn't an easy feat anyway. I normally don't need a lot of weeks of training to step up. So the 5 weeks in Boulder with you, which is me, for sure will give me a big boost for the big day.
That's brilliant. Yvonne, thanks for taking the time to answer those questions. It's like having her here, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we could get her. I can get you to give her a call next week. She's down in the basement staying in our apartment, so I'm sure her and Per will love to be on the show.
That would be brilliant if we can set it up. That would be fantastic. So she's coming over and she's staying in your house and she's training with you for 5 weeks leading in.
Yeah, she's coming to. She does really well going from altitude down to sea level as most people do, and she's coming. She's never really trained. This is the thing with Von and how it works so well. So her and Siri are big communicators, and they talk pretty much every day. And that's why she's such an amazing coach, and it works for her and Yvonne. They've never really had much time other than Kona 2 weeks before Kona where they've had one-on-one coaching with each other. It's all done online, and it's all done basically by communication, how you're feeling, and we're going to change this up, and it's worked so well for them both. So to actually have Yvonne here and Siri seeing her, and I think her swimming is already, I'd say, hopefully as good as Rinny, and Rinny has improved a lot this year. So I'll be the teller of that. I'll let you know. But if her swim can improve just a little bit more before Kona, she's going to be on fire.
Well, Siri is definitely the person to help that swim improve with her background of coming from a non-swimmer to front pack ITU, isn't she?
Yep. She always says, get on the feet, nibble, 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 nibble those toes. Like I've sort of been helping Rinny a little bit with the swim, or trying to, and Rinny's swim's just really improved this year. And I don't give too much away, but Rinny's never really been able to nibble on my toes. But now that she is, I'm like, oh God, what's going to happen when Rinny now has no weakness? And I think Yvonne, that's her weakness too. So let's see. I'm going to do my best to get those girls up there and as close to the front in Kona this year. And if I can,
how much do you think she's improved by?
Rennie?
Yeah.
Oh, secret. No. Well, she can hold on to my feet. And I got out with Jodie Swallow the last year I raced. I think I got out of the water in second. And
Yeah.
on a great day, Rennie, I believe, could possibly hang on to that front group. And I don't know where Yvonne's at right now, but even on a bad day, I can't see Rennie being the 5 or 6 minutes down that she has once been like a few years ago. So this could
Yeah.
change the ball game a little bit.
I tell you what, if they look around coming out
I
of
would
the water and see her
SHIT my
sitting there.
pants if that if I saw Rennie. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, maybe I won't put this interview
No.
live. Maybe I'll keep it. Then I'll win the sweepstake in our tri
Yeah.
club. Yeah. Who's out in the front
Yeah.
pack?
I'd love to see that. Yeah. Nothing more.
That would be fantastic actually, because if we can see Rinny turn into that complete triathlete,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
I think it's hard too because the front group, I've been in it before, and if there's 5 or 10 of you, even when you're sitting legal, and the girls are really good, like you really don't see people trying to cheat or take advantage. We sit our clean distance, but even just having the psychological advantage, and there is still like 10, 15 watts that you can,
Yeah.
that you're working less harder than those girls that are on her own. Really rides on her own the whole way. She never really has anybody, and she just does her own thing. And I feel like I don't know if it would work to her advantage or to her detriment. I feel like Rinny would still do Rinny's thing and just ride her own race, and that's hard to do when you have a pack of 10 people around you. So it might not be the best thing for her. So
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I think, if you give her 5 extra minutes, it's 5 minutes off the course record, potentially, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if she gets any good bonuses for that.
Yeah, well, you should find out. You want to set her up with some like, maybe she'll take the swim prime.
Oh God, that'd be awesome.
That you want a bonus for that, mate. You want to have some kind of side bet with her.
I should say to Tia, if you can give Granny a bonus, maybe we'll get her out in that front group.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Come on, Tia, pony up.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, great stuff. Right, we also had over here. We had Dublin 70.3, which I had a couple of athletes racing this, and I talked to one of the guys today, and I said, how was the race? And he said, I've got to be honest, Rob. And this guy's an Irish guy. He said, I've got to be honest, Rob. The race setup was a bit Irish.
A bit Irish.
I said, right, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you got off the bike at the end of the bike leg, and it was like 200 meters to go from the bike dismount line to the end of the timing mat. And then
that's a long way, yeah.
Yeah, like you went into the tent, you got your kit, and then you had to run back through the tent to hang your own bag back up before they let you go back out again on the run.
That's crazy. I thought you were going to say, and they had beers instead of water. I was like, yep, that's the Irish. But
I think there was plenty of that afterwards, yeah for sure. But it was like 3.5, 4 minute T2 times.
I wonder if they added that to their run or their bike split, or they just added it to their transition, I guess.
Yeah, it was full on. Anyway, listen, the interesting thing that happened here was
I saw this.
That we're going to go with the males first here.
Yes, let's do that.
A British age grouper called Brian McChrystal.
Yes.
Now he finished, I think he was 4th overall at Ironman UK a few weeks back. He outsplit all the pros by 10 minutes on the bike.
That's insane.
He is a former pro cyclist who's moved over to triathlon.
Wow.
And he's the real deal, man. So they're obviously in a separate race. So there's this argument over, whether the age group times count in with the pro race. But Ben Collins took the overall race here in 4 hours and 41 seconds. And Brian McChrystal was 14 seconds behind him.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Harry Wiltshire in 3rd in 4:04, and another age grouper, Andy Greenleaf, in 4th in 4:04.53. So 2 amazing age group performances there.
I couldn't believe it when I read this. I thought this guy's got to be an ex-pro cyclist to be able to do that, because the boys aren't bad riders. Ben's a great rider. He's had a few course records.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I thought, I'm going to ask Ivan O'Gorman, our retool fitter from Ireland, if he knows of this guy, because he's one of the top age groupers in Ireland as well. And it'll be interesting to see if he's heard of him, because he's definitely going to be someone we're going to hear a lot more about. I'm sure he'll get a yellow card from this race.
Well, for sure, and you wonder whether his plan is to go, and he's got to be in with a shout of the overall age group win at Kona with performances like he's been putting in, hasn't he?
Totally, yeah.
Like some of the guys at Ironman UK that he outsplit on the bike were, they were legit bikers he put 10 minutes into. There was
what did he ride?
from memory, I think he rode 4:45, and all the pro men, the lead pro men pack rode 4:55.
In a pack, exactly, yeah. Crazy.
And so he's ridden through, and it was like Roman Guillaume and Marcus Tomska.
God, the good riders, yeah.
Yeah, the good riders as well. So, and Andy Greenleaf there. Andy Greenleaf in fourth. He's like a 2:19 marathon runner, I think, or 2:20 marathon runner. He's a seriously quick marathon runner. So, yeah, some exciting athletes.
I like seeing that. I like seeing the age groupers give the pros a run for their money, because I think a lot of the time the pros don't have enough respect for these guys. I mean, these guys are the reason we even make prize money. These ridiculous entry fees that they have to pay, and we wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for these guys. So I love seeing this stuff. And the same in the women. It's kind of similar.
Yeah. Did you ever have any experiences like that with female age groupers coming through? And
I think actually, I feel like with the age group men, it's more legit. Like, he obviously was on his own. He wasn't riding with other people that were helping him, and he didn't have other age group men that were, he wasn't getting any advantage off because he was so far in front. I think it's a lot different, when it comes to the women, because the women have age groupers around them and a lot of the time, like, not to take away from some of these decent age group women riders, but they get dragged along. They have slower swims. They get dragged along by top age group men, and then they're fresher getting off the bike, and they've had a faster bike leg, and they sometimes, I don't really like it when they'll say, oh, this girl rode quicker than Liz Blatchford. It happened once in 70.3 in Bustleton. And I think, okay, if it was the men, fair enough, because they don't have anybody assisting them. But I feel like I don't know if they can claim that in the women, because I think the women do get a big advantage when they're racing with age group men, whether it's psychological or not. It's a completely different ballgame.
Even if it's just the psychological thing of having people around you, and Liz Blackford, she's off on her own, riding her own pace. So I think it's
different when it comes to the age group women, and you see girls often, like 90% of the age groupers that get their pro cards. I know in Australia, for example, because we have a 15-minute gap from the age groupers, but these girls that will get their pro card because they've gone like a 9:40 or 9:30 Ironman, and they go and race against the pro women, and they're nowhere because they don't have that same advantage of being sucked along. So
all of a sudden they're just out in no man's land.
But I give all credit to Brian Crystal. I mean, he's obviously legit. He's the real deal. So he's done this all from his own hard work, which is great.
We'll see how we go. Now women's race. The lovely Susie Cheetham takes the women's race out in 4:23. We've had her on the show, and she's great. Natalie Seymour in second in 4:25, and Sarah Lewis in third. An age grouper there at 4:31. Awesome. So
that's a pretty decent time too for an age grouper.
It really is. It's only sort of 5-6 minutes down off the top two ladies, isn't it? Which is great.
And again, it all depends on the race course too. Like if that age grouper sort of was on her own, and the course where you can't really draft, depends on the technicality and the undulations of the course. But she might have just been an amazing rider and been by herself. But I know there are some women that would definitely get help along the way. But who knows? She could have just done that on her own merits. And don't want to take away from that at all. I don't know the course, and I wasn't there, so I think she's just had a great day.
I think they had some pretty honest weather as well, by the sounds of things. There was a lot of sketchy corners in the rain and things like that.
Yeah, so you can't draft when it's rain and the corners like that. That's pretty impossible to get this advantage. Man. But I think Susie was 6th at Kona. I think it was at Kona last year. I think she was 6th. And,
she had a real breakthrough, didn't she?
Yeah, I hadn't really heard of her. And Susie's like, who's that? And we actually had to. I mean, excuse our ignorance, Susie, because we know who you are now, and all we're pretty exciting to see you come through, but we didn't know who she was, and Susie had to look up who she was because she looked so good. I'm like, oh my god, this chick's on fire, and it was Susie.
And she had a super good run as well, didn't she?
She ran right through.
Really strong,
right through into 6,
so pretty exciting to see how she's going to go at Kona this year, I think.
Yep, she's
with another year of experience under her belt.
Exactly. She's had a 12th and then a 6th, so 6 places each year. Who knows? that should statistically put her in first, but we'll see. It might be hard.
Let's get $10 down on the podium.
$10. There's not a lot of confidence there, Rob.
Hey, I'm the last of the big spenders. All right, do you know what? I think we've just about come to the end of our results. We've managed to blether away for close to an hour.
We have, yeah.
Oh, it's been great. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. Now, listen, just before we wrap the show up, I want to give a shout out. We've got a new sponsor on the show. a bunch of British guys called Precision Hydration, who are headed by a chap called Andy Blow, who used to be a pro triathlete, and he spent ages working out why he was struggling so much on the run. Turns out he was an incredibly salty sweater.
Right.
So him and his company have developed this sweat test where they can test how salty your sweat is.
Wow.
And they're producing essentially an electrolyte drink that comes in 4 different strengths.
Okay.
Tastes really good. And so you can either do they've got an online sweat test you can do by answering questions, or you can actually go and see them at a race, and they hook this little machine up to your arm. I had it done a few weeks ago, and it was just the coolest thing.
Wow.
They put these little electrodes on your arm, and it makes your forearm sweat, and then they sort of test the saltiness of it. And I'd had the same problems as Andy had. I was finishing races and ended up in the med tent and passing out and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Well, maybe this is something you need to look into. Huh?
You know what? It isn't. You can't really. There's really been no way to tell how much salt you sweat and how much you're going to need. And it's important. Like, I've had races in Kona where I've had way too much electrolyte and you get that hyponatremia. And then there's times and they say, you can't oversalt. Yes, you can. You can have too much electrolyte. It's just as dangerous as not having enough. So I think that's brilliant. And I think especially for Kona, this is the thing that came
out of it. That I was taking electrolyte drinks and still ending up hyponatremic at the end. And when they tested my sweat, most electrolyte drinks have got, I think, 300 mils of sodium per bike bottle in, and I'm losing 1,600 mils of sodium.
You're a big sweater, Rob.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not that I'm particularly sweaty, but the sweat is really salty.
Okay.
So even drinking a normal electrolyte drink, it isn't replacing. Yeah.
So it's very individual, is it?
Yeah, exactly. So they do the sweat test and then go, right, we've got the 250, the 500, the 1,000, the 1,500. Then you just tip it into your bottle. And the really clever thing is it doesn't taste salty because they've not used sodium chloride. It's sodium citrate, I think.
Okay.
So, when you put loads of salt tabs in your drink and you just want to retch because you're drinking seawater.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Really cool product.
I'm going to have to look
Encourage
those
all the listeners. Yeah, well, get you some samples sent over, man.
Okay.
When you come over for the Team Siri Team Oxygenatic training camp, we'll get some samples for you.
That'd be awesome. No, we really have some big sweaters, and I think there's a guy in our group is a huge sweater, and I say to him, mate, I don't think you're replacing enough salt. And he's like, well, how do I know how much? I said, I don't really know. Like, you just have to guess. So.
Well, this is it. Andy is a sports scientist, and he's patented the machinery to test salty sweat.
Awesome. So never heard of it.
Next time it's over in the US, I'll hook you guys up.
Cool. Man. That'd be awesome. Cool. Sounds
cool
good.
Cool stuff. Right. Well, listen, Bek Keat, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. And Helen, I hope I filled those shoes because they were big shoes to fill today.
Oh, it's been really lovely chatting to you, and you've done a fantastic job. And we wish you all the luck in the future in your, segueing towards your coaching career now. And we'll be rooting for your athletes at Kona.
Thanks, mate. And I think if I need any coaching tips and I can't get them from Siri, you'll be the guy I'm coming to. So look out.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you very much.
And we hope to see you in the UK in the next 12 to 18 months for sure.
We'll make it happen, man.
Awesome.
You tell us when the dates are and we'll get it out on the show for everyone.
Awesome. And I'm going to get little Yvonne Van Klerken with you next week, hopefully. So look forward to that.
Brilliant. That'd be great. Thanks very much, man. We'll speak to you again soon.
Okay.
Cheers now.
Bye-bye.
And that's all we had time for this week. I just want to take a moment to say thanks again very much to Bek Keat for coming on. She was a great co-host to fill Helen's shoes, man. That's really, really cool, and I really appreciate it. So that brings us to the end of the episode. So thanks very much for listening to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. That was Bek Keat, and I'm Coach Rob Wilby. And until next week, have a great training and racing week. I hope you're all having a great time in the sunshine, and I'll leave you with a word from our sponsors, Team Oxygen Addict. I created Team Oxygen Addict as a way to make access to expert coaching more affordable. We offer 95% of the benefit of one-to-one coaching for about half the price. Now, as a Team Oxygen Addict member, you'll get an event-specific training plan that's guaranteed to get you into top shape for your Ironman or 70.3 event. You'll get access to our private members website that contains video tutorials for swim drills and coaching podcasts, and we have regular live coaching webinars where I deliver live seminars to our athletes where I answer your questions live on air. Best of all, as a team member, you'll get access to me for coaching and advice within our private Facebook group, where you can also chat with the other team members. And this is the real gold of the team, the supportive and positive atmosphere that's developed amongst our team members. On a daily basis, they're all in there talking about their training, and I'm in there offering support and advice where it's needed. Now, if you're concerned that a generic training plan isn't the best way to make the most of your valuable training time, Team Oxygen Addict is for you. You get to ask my advice on how to best use your time that week, and I'll guide you so your plan meets your goals and your available time. I wish something like Team Oxygen Addict had been available when I was at the start of my triathlon journey. I'd have saved a ton of time thinking about how I should have been training, and instead I could just have concentrated on getting the training done and then recovering. All this is available for a monthly cost of just £65. So if you're ready to take your triathlon performance to the next level, I encourage you to go over to team.oxygenaddict.com and sign up today. Again, that's team.oxygenaddict.com.